It's no secret, teens tend to be a tad bit emotional. Those emotions coupled with social media, though, and comparisons often bring up a whole other battle. How can parents address the jealousy topic with their child without sending the negative vibe that often comes with that type of conversation? That's where our next guest steps in. Jessie Funk with Ivy Girl Academy joins me. Great to have you.
Thanks.
Big topic, teens and jealousy. It's not new. I feel like, though, it's getting more attention lately. I want your expert opinion on this. You work with teens day in and day out. Do you think the jealousy topic is heightened now because it's actually happening more, or are we just recognizing it more?
I think we're just recognizing it more. I think we're giving ourselves permission to talk about it more, and so the conversation is coming up more often, which is awesome, because I think that means we're making progress as a society. We're talking about really important issues that need to be talked about, because I think it's always been there, because it's a very natural emotion, but we're giving ourselves permission to address it and to identify it more.
Like so many issues and topics we talk about these days, social media comes into play. You don't think because social media has taken such a large footprint in these teens' lives, that's causing more comparison, more resentment, more jealousy?
I think it could be. I mean, I feel it more. I feel it more in my life since social media has shown up, because I remember the days we remember when social media didn't even exist.
I didn't know if my girlfriend was going to a party I wasn't invited to, or I didn't know that my friend's mom took her shopping every Friday. I didn't know those things when I was a teen, and now I look at my sisters and their friends, and they're getting that data all the time. Yeah,
so I totally hear you. I think it could be. It could definitely be at least just exacerbating it a little bit more because we are facing it like more often. So maybe.
Jealousy is often pinned or labeled as a bad emotion, but you're quick to say, parents, when addressing this with your child, don't shame.
Don't shame them. It is a very natural emotion like any other emotion. It's like anger. Anger is not bad. It's not wrong. It's not shameful. But if I punch somebody, that's a problem. So if I'm jealous and I go to my friends and I'm like, oh my gosh, can you believe how horrible Brooke's hair looks today? That's a problem. Instead, we need to say, okay, what are you going to do with your jealousy? The jealousy is not bad. It's what we do with it that matters.
So let's get into those parenting principles. Action, motion, you say, is one good way to direct these kids. How else, Jessie, can we direct, their feelings in a positive direction?
I think just being able to say, all right, so if you are feeling jealous, what are we going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? So we can ask our kids, I like to say, are you going to be a breather or a sucker? Are you going to breathe life into people, or are you going to suck the life out? So if I say, Brooke's hair looks horrible today, I'm choosing to be a sucker. I'm sucking the life right out of you, and I'm creating all this drama. But if I choose to be a breather, and I want to be remembered for being someone that breathed life into other people, then I'm going to come right up to you and I'm going to say, Brooke, your hair looks amazing today. I'm so jealous, which I am, by the way, because it looks really good.
I was going to say, now you can compliment me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love that. Breather or sucker. And that seems to be simple enough, it would resonate in their minds, and actionable, right, in the words that gives them something to do. You want parents to counter it as well, to play up the positive.
So ask your kid, okay, look at this person. Like, for example, I was thinking about this morning. There is this girl on social media, on my Instagram, that every time I see her, every post, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's the perfect mom, perfect wife. She always looks gorgeous. Her house is always clean. And I just feel like a total loser. I'm like, she's amazing and I suck. Like, it's this very strong emotional trigger that happens to me personally, and I look at her and I'm like, okay, so what is it about her that's really triggering me so much? Is it something I can control? And I figured out one of the things, she makes things out of wood. And I love wood. I love to get pallets, and I love to make little projects out of wood, but I don't have time. I don't have time to do it. And so I thought, that's something I can control. I'm gonna make that a priority. So every month for the last 3 months, I have been making really cute little wood things. And now every time I see her, I'm like, okay, what else is she making that can inspire me so I can make a little project? So what can you control? Is there something you can control in that person that you're jealous of? If there's something you can't control, like for example, she has the most beautiful face. It's perfectly symmetrical, and my face is not symmetrical. So I tell myself, okay, I can't control that. My face isn't symmetrical, but I have beautiful eyes. So I'm going to celebrate my eyes.
And I don't know how you know your face isn't symmetrical. But anyway, discussion for another day. Playing up the positive. I have this distinct memory, and this was playing on my brain. I feel a little silly sharing it, but when I was really young, I remember going to my best friend's play. She had been cast in a high school production. We were like in 3rd grade, and her mom took me to see her in this play. And I was just amazed by her talent and by her ability to get up on that stage. And I remember thinking, I'd like to do that someday. That would be really fun. And afterwards, I remember just gushing, and I can credit my mom for that. We just threw compliments around like confetti at my house, and we're taught to do that. And I remember my friend's mom saying, and this is not a pat me on the back, this is a credit to my mom, but I remember my friend's mom saying, I'm amazed that you're able to recognize and celebrate her this way, that you're not, she just said it, that you're not jealous, that you're not, but for me it was motivation. I remember that, looking up at her and thinking, she's so talented, I might like to try that someday. How can we help our teens? I should pull my mom to this conversation and ask how she did that as well, but how can we empower our teens to see the inspiration that you saw in your friend's woodworking ability, for example?
Your mom is the perfect example. That's exactly what we do. As mothers, as parents, we have to show them. It's not just telling them, it's showing them. I imagine that your mom taught you how to do it because she did it. Am I right?
True.
So she's the one that showed you how to do it. She helped build that muscle in you because she showed you how to do it first and then instilled that in you. So as parents, we have to say, okay, we're going to be the breathers. We're going to breathe life into other people, but we're also going to build ourselves up as well. And we're not going to tear ourselves down and say, I'm not this, I'm not that, I don't have this, I don't have that. So focusing on all of those positives can build us up enough so we're confident enough so that we can celebrate other people, so that we can build other people up. Because when we don't feel good enough, of course it's easier to tear other people down.
Right.
It's easy.
We touched on social media, and social media, you say, does play a role in this, and now might be a great time, just this conversation even prompting the thought to do a social media spring cleaning. What does that look like? What does that mean?
I have a very specific recommendation here that you may not agree with, but I know I'm right. So when you decide that this is something you want to do with your kid, you sit down at your computer and you say, hey, offspring, come here. Get your kid to sit by you and you say, I'm doing something crazy today. I'm going through my Facebook feed and there's like 3 or 4 people, don't make it crazy, 3 or 4 people that trigger me. And I'm jealous of them. And when I see them, there's nothing I can control to make myself feel better about myself. So I do feel jealous, and I've noticed that it makes me feel a little sad, or I do feel like I'm just not good enough. And they trigger me. So I'm going to not be friends with them anymore. I'm going to take them off my feed. We're not close, so they're not family members. It's just a very simple way of simplifying my life so that I can keep myself strong.
Devil's advocate, are we teaching them to run away from those feelings?
I don't think so, because in that same conversation, you can say, there's always going to be triggers. There's always going to be people that we're jealous of, but I don't think it's bad to at least try to reduce the triggers. To at least just 3 or 4. That's why I said 3 or 4, because we don't want to teach them that. We don't want to teach them that we run away. But doing our best to lessen the triggers or reduce them is very healthy.
Great information, great advice. As always, Jessie, I think you're right too.
Thank you.
And I love your face and your eyes. So we'll just end on that note. You're not only empowering parents with this type of information, you're teaching and coaching teens all of the time. What's coming up at Ivy Girls Academy?
We have a mother-daughter retreat coming up in May for Mother's Day weekend. It's going to be so much fun. There's only 2 spots left, so hurry really fast. And we have our summer camp coming up in August, so go to ivygirlacademy.com.
Thanks, friends.
Thanks.